Hey guys, how y'all doing today? Well, this video, what this is about, this is a continuation I should say, from the previous video, where I was discussing about the Yeti. And also I was talking about the North American Sasquatch. I left some things out still about the Yeti that I held back until I was going to do this video, and I'm going to finish that up with this. And behind me is a chart that I had through really intense research. Took me a while to put this chart together, and what it is, it's a chart of millenniums and millenniums of crossbreeding. Okay, and I broke everything down, which I usually only bring that chart out when I'm doing seminars. It's a little complicated, but I made it in such a way where it's, you can understand what's on the chart. We'll get to that later. Anyway, let's get back to the Yeti. Now, myself personally, I don't have any desire to go to Tibet or the Himalayas, If I want to get around in ice and snow, I could do it right up here in the Sierra Mountains, which it is coming. And I would subdue myself to that kind of environment on the other side of the world like that. Like I explained it in the first video. To me, that kind of an effort, it's not worth it. It's not worth my time or my effort. I'm not gonna go up there and live a week or so of misery. I ain't gonna do it, man. For what? To come back empty-handed? No, thank you. That's not how I operate as a researcher and a field researcher in the kind of research I do. I don't ever like to come back empty-handed. So, anyway, but let's say hypothetically, if I was to choose to go there, I'll tell you right now, they're not really finding what they seek, is because quit worrying about finding footprints. I mean, I don't understand why you would want to go into that kind of a very extreme elevation level and put your own life in dire strait for what? To go look for footprints. That's not gonna accomplish anything, okay? And besides, we all know what kind of footprints have been photographed and taken and studied and whatever that they find up there. Now you got a whole lot of mountain range up there. I mean, my God, you have to cover a lot of area. What, to find footprints? It's not going to take you nowhere. It's not going to lead you to nowhere. And that's all you're going to come back with after all that? No, thank you. So, but like I said, hypothetically, if it was me and I decided to go do such a thing, if such a cryptid entity did exist, if, the big word, I would not be looking for footprints, okay? What I would be looking for is a few elements that is an absolute necessity. One, I would be concerned about a water source. Gotta have water. Water sustains life. And like I always say, where you find water, you find life, and life is water. That's a fact. It's a biological fact. You can't deny it, you can't debate it, you can't get away from it. Secondly, I'm looking at the type of habitat. is it the type of habitat that will sustain such a large entity? Food source and such. And thirdly, I would be more concerned in looking for a place that such a creature would dwell to get out of that type of environment. Look, I don't care what kind of a living entity you are. In that kind of environment, it's extremely harsh, the oxygen is extremely thin. I can't conceive even the thought of any kind of a creature is going to be living constantly in that type of environment, being exposed to the outside. I'm sorry, it just ain't going to happen. Not in reality, all right? Now, you've got the Himalaya bears, okay? You got two different types of species of black bear there. I'm telling you right now, very, very few are even at that kind of a high elevation, and on top of that, even hypothetically, if there was, I guarantee you it's going to be living in some type of a cave or a cavern to get out of that environment, okay? Now, I don't know about the black bears, how their species reacts on that side of the world, but the black bear, the North American black bear, is the only bear that does not hibernate. I don't know if you all knew that, but it does not hibernate. It takes snoozes and naps, it'll wake up and go back out, but it doesn't fully hibernate. And I would suspect that in Tibet, or in the Himalayas, up that high of elevation, the black bear like that, they're not going to be in that higher elevation. I think they're going to be down a little bit lower. More so as a food source. So I see no food source, I see no water source. You're not going to be living on the surface, okay? Because you can't consume and live off ice and snow. You can't do it. There's a thing called ice poisoning. You understand what I'm saying? And the only way you're going to be able to convert that to drinking water is that you're going to have to create a fire. And you're going to have to melt that down and boil it before you could even consume it. And we know they don't have that capability of doing such a deed. So, what I suggest is this. I would be looking for a solution cave or a cavern, because those are most likely going to lead you into a subterranean environment. That is what I would be looking for. In that type of environment, everything, the atmosphere within inside, which you're going to be looking, it's going to go into a mountain or down into the ground. But it's going to be based around a mountain, trust me. They're just like the ones we have in the Sierra Mountains. We have a lot of prehistoric solution caves and caverns that still yet have not been found. They know they're there, but they have not found them. Okay? I would suspect the same thing would be in the Himalayas. I don't recall or hearing anybody that has done any research on the Yeti that has even suggested such a thing. Take Mount Shasta, for instance. Now, people do talk about that there is subterranean world within that volcano. Do I believe such a thing? Sure. Such places do exist. You damn right. I've been in solution caves on the other side of the Sierra Mountains. And personally myself, you go into those kind of places, you're taking your life in your own hands. That's a fact. I had that thought was on my mind every time I went into that solution cave. So that's what I'll be looking for, you see, because the fact of the matter is, if you find a subterranean environment, there you're going to find what? You're going to find running water. And it's drinkable. So there's your water problem solved. You're also going to find vegetation life in there, that if such a creature does exist, it would have vegetation there that it can consume and it can exist. Okay, so you have water, you got food, you're out of that environment, you're not subdued to it, okay? Now you got to get onto the food source. Now, no matter what, you got to have protein. All mammals got to have a source of protein, okay? You cannot have it out of your diet. It's just, biologically speaking, it's a stupid thing to do, to cut protein source out of your diet. The muscularity of the body needs solid protein. It cannot live off any kind of plant sterols. That creates the lowest form of proteins. Now, I don't want to get into all this because I know exactly what I'm talking about, trust me. So, now you're going to need a very large amount of protein that these entities have to consume a day. And I don't see it on the surface of the Himalayas. It would be more lower down towards the valley. And I don't foresee them traveling all that distance for a protein source to go right back up where they came from. That makes no sense. That's counterproductive. So, there will be subtype, small mammals and whatever, that could still live in that kind of environment, which they could feed on as a protein source. Okay? Now, in the fresh water, in a subterranean environment, what you're going to find, which is the closest thing to a protein source, is algae. You can consume algae, even you as a human. Okay? So, there you go. That's hypothetically thinking. If it was me, that's what I would be looking for. Then it would probably be worth your time and effort. So, what you're going to have to do is revert to geology. Study those mountain ranges. Figure out which would be the best prospect that you would find such a source for them to dwell and live in. If you find something as such, you may find what you were seeking in the first place. But quit worrying about the footprints, man. You know, and you're not going to find any other kind of evidence. I'm sorry. It's just, that's reality. You got to get with reality, man. But I bet you, if maybe take a little bit of heart what I just explained, you just may get lucky. You know what I'm saying? You just may. But that's where I would start. That would be the best start to start at. Trust me. But I still say, to this day, there is something up there. There is no doubt about it. I have a very open mind in cryptology. If it can exist, it will exist. Period. And I highly believe in that. Sierra Mountains, good example. We have cryptid entities up here that we don't even know shit about. We don't even know their existence, but they do exist. It's just you gotta hang with your research, you gotta be out in the field, and you got to know what you're doing. You gotta have a plan. Before I go out, I basically, I'm ex-military, so I come up with a tactical plan. That's my thing. What I look for, habitat. Is the habitat, is there enough food there to sustain? 2, water. Got to have water. Dwelling. They got to have a place to dwell. I've said it 100,000 times. Sasquatch doesn't live or dwell on the surface. Okay? I know where he lives. You should think about the same way as the Yeti. Okay? But like I said before, the Yeti is going to end up eventually going to be something that will blow your mind, but it's not what you thought it was. But it still will be something that'll blow the mind of science. Okay? Now, the chart I created here, probably get on this side. Nope, maybe better. Now, the chart I created here, this here represents crossbreeding. You've got two different species that crossbred. They created a hybrid. Over here you have two other different species crossbreeded. They created a hybrid. Now what happens? Eventually, this hybrid, that hybrid, they meet. They cross paths. What happens? They crossbreed. What do you get? Another hybrid. Each level that they crossbreed and create a hybrid, you're creating a very exceptional being or living thing. Whether it would be human or non-human. So, and that's my point about the people mistaking the Yeti for something else. You understand now? You get a little more of a picture on crossbreeding, which creates a hybrids. Now, and I even have the time periods. Here you have, I have the origins, timeline, crossbreeding, hybrids, extinct. Over in here is what I call the gray area. Now the gray area is an area that science doesn't talk much about. But it's an area where buku crossbreeding occurred constantly with all different types of species. And when I'm talking about species, I'm talking about early humans. And the same thing could go towards animals. They crossbreed too. You see, it's like this. If Mother Nature finds two different species, if they're sexually compatible, they can reproduce. Although people argue about that, say, I can't do that. But I'm sorry, that's biology. Yes, that's a fact. So, anyhow, and it's like I said, the North American Sasquatch, those are his origins. That's where he began from. Habilis and Erectus, believe it or not, they lived close to the same time period. It was a known fact that, yes, they did crossbreed. Two complete different species of early human. But they did crossbreed. That is a fact. They created a hybrid. You go millenniums forward. Then you have hominins, Erectus, and Ergaster. Okay? They lived, even though they're two different human species, early human species, but they lived towards close to the same time period. Erectus, 1.4 million years. Ergaster, 1.5 million years. This is just before Erectus went to extinction. But they were living side by side. Okay? They crossbred, hybrid. And that's how it went on. And then you kick in evolving. Each hybrid, they're evolving to a higher level. Now, and that's one of the main reasons why these hominin hybrids, they have very, very exceptional sixth sense. More than we could even imagine. Hearing, smell, taste, eyesight, even thinking, rational thinking. It's why they've existed for millenniums under our noses. Anyway, so I hope this helped you out and y'all get a little bit better of understanding where I'm coming from. And I hope this helped you out. I think you can understand a little bit better now. And it does make sense. It's science, man. And it's biology. I love biology, man. It doesn't lie. Okay? It just doesn't. What does lie is people that are very uneducated about biology. And they think they know about it, but they don't know shit. And that's just the bottom line. So, the only thing I could say to the ones that researchers that continue with the Yeti, if you haven't seen this video, you haven't heard what I talked about it, maybe someone has, let them know. Tell them to check it out. But you're gonna have to create a whole new course in what you're seeking, man, because otherwise, that's why nobody seeks what it finds. Okay? Me, I always find what I seek. I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been doing this for a long time, guys. A hell of a long time. Anyhow, hope you like this video. I ain't going to talk about the Yeti no more. There's not much more to talk about it. I said what I had to say. I covered what I had to cover. Okay? So, y'all enjoy this Friday. I'm going to, right after I get finished with this video, I'm going to enjoy mine. I'm going to rest. I am tired as hell, guys. Tired as hell. Anyway, hope you liked this video. Hope it was informative for you. And as far as I'm concerned, I'll stay here in the Sierra Mountains, and I'll keep doing my field research on the North American Sasquatch. It's a better deal. See you later, guys. Have a good one.